Hello and welcome to Tudor I Hardly Know Her. And this is the pre-roll segment where I, Garrett, read the names of our Patreon supporters who who have so graciously decided to support us and our show. Thank you for doing so. And here are the people who have donated at least $5 because they get their names right at the beginning because you guys are awesome people. All of you are awesome, but these people, thank you. To Carolyn Ingrid, Emily Blomer, Jackie Moore, Catherine Denny, Melissa S., Philip Nako, Rhiannon Jepson, Samantha Martin, Taylor McHarg, Tiffany Anderson, and that's it. Thanks for supporting us, and if you want to support us, find us on Patreon, Tudor I Hardly Know Her. It would mean a lot to us, and your support goes a long way in helping to make this show better. Now, on to the episode. Oh, no. Was that good enough? I can't.
Malia,
what is that, Dutch?
Malia, ho, Malia, ha, ha.
Why is it Mario?
Mario, he, Mario, whoo, Mario, ha ha.
Yahoo!
That's it.
Speaking of gaming,
Hey, hi, welcome to Tudor I Hardly Know Her.
I think.
Podcast about Tudor stuff. Maybe, we don't know.
Are we welcoming them? We're looking at you, producer.
What?
Are we going?
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay.
I'm adjusting you guys as you
Look
talk.
how intense he looks. Of course
looks
we're
very
recording.
intense.
Because you guys are like blowing out your mics at the beginning there.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. Lo siento.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Emily.
I'm Jeffrey.
We're all together.
I think we're all a little hungover.
No.
I'm not super hungover.
I'm a I've still got a little bit. That's
I'm
why
a
my
smidge hungover.
my voice has got that very deep like
Yeah, but that's
graveliness
because
to
we were
it.
shouting in a bar last night.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah. My
How's it
voice is going
going?
to crack like a teenager while
Welcome
we're doing
to
this.
the Tudor After Dark Hour. I'm your host.
We're doing this at 3 a.m.
I'm your host Gary Smooth. Right next to me.
It's after dark if you're listening to this after dark.
It's whatever you want it to be. Anyway, this is the podcast where we talk about Tudor stuff, and I'm actually in this Tudor studio, the Tudio. Tudio.
Garrett, it's good to see your face.
It's good to see your face. Good to see your face, Jeff.
No.
Yes.
All right. So, if you guys were paying attention to our social media, I almost said facial media, which is a completely different thing.
Facial's completely different. Sponsored by Pornhub.
After what we've been talking about the past few episodes, let's get that going. We won't do anything in Pornhub, but we'll just,
We'll create
take
our
that
Pornhub
sponsorship.
account.
Yeah. We'll go on like different videos and comment. Like someone's like, "Oh yeah, that chick's got great tits," and we're like, "Hey, did you know that Henry VIII?"
Could like to kiss Anne Boleyn's duckies.
Yeah, like it'll be cute. It'll be cute. Anyway, so if you're paying attention to our facial media, we were at the Indiana Renaissance Festival. Was that what it's called? Fair.
It's a fair.
Fairy.
God, get it right.
Fair. We're at the Indiana Renaissance Fair, and this is my first time. Jeff and Emily have been
This is our fourth
Third.
year.
Fourth. Yeah.
fight.
No, you're
No,
right.
it's
It's our
fourth.
fourth because we went 1 year before we even had the podcast.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Now we have a reason to go. And it was my first time going to Renaissance Fair. I had a good time aside from us all getting sunburnt to hell.
Oh my god, my neck
We were
is on
pretty
fire.
exhausted, like after only being there for like 4 hours.
Yeah. But there was good root beer.
It was.
Very good root beer. Go
Did
to
they
your
have root
local-
beer back then?
Shit if I know.
I mean,
They
What-
had
what, do you
multiple
think I
places
know
selling
everything about the Tudors?
They had multiple places selling root beer, so I feel like it had to have been a thing.
I don't think so because
Ye old
if you ever
orange
go
soda.
to any old festival, they always have homemade root beer.
it's just like a thing.
There's a festival in Fort Wayne called the Johnny Appleseed Festival, and they sell root beer there too,
Okay.
and that takes place during.
Well, not only
Like
was it
1800s.
we are at Renaissance Fair, it was our 3-year anniversary of the podcast, like
Happy
that same day.
anniversary!
Which is crazy that we've been.
It's your birthday.
It's weird to think that we've already been doing this for
Happy
3 years.
birthday podcast.
It is weird to think about. Like we are not. we're not. It doesn't feel like 3 years. It's been so fast.
Yeah.
So
We're all grown up. Our podcast is teething. We're saying our first words. We're walking around.
our podcast is 3. Our podcast has already teethed.
I
And
don't
it's
know
been
how
walking.
babies work, Emily.
Our podcast is a toddler throwing tantrums every other day.
Like me.
That actually sounds accurate.
That's pretty close.
But no, the Renaissance Fair, for the most part, was really fun.
It was
From
so
what we
fun.
got to see, the joust, we do have videos.
That was awesome.
This should have been posted by now. By the time this comes out, that was pretty cool. We did it like first thing, and then we saw one of the shows called the Rogue Blades. I think
Rogue
this was-
Blades.
Rogue Blades.
Rogue Blades. So they're actually kind of like an act troupe
Comedy
that
act.
they go to multiple different ones. I'm sure those who've been to Renaissance Fairs actually probably have seen them before since they kind of travel around the country.
The main guy, I think he played the villain, but he's not a villain because it's a funny show. He has a book series. I think it was the Rogue Blades and something else.
Yeah.
David
That's a second,
Kish.
yeah.
May have been. They were really funny. I've seen them
We've
previous
seen them,
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
If you
big.
guys are listening, A, Y, B, great show. Had a good time.
And then we met a lovely gentleman who got to show us his hurdy-gurdy. If
Oh,
you
so,
watched
yeah.
the live video of us when we were there.
Met a
he-
goddamn hurdy-gurdy
Yeah,
player.
we got so excited. So he kind of was great and kind of showed us how it worked and what it does.
I believe
Give an
Joshua
explanation.
Smith was his name.
Double check it.
Double checking.
Smith sounds right.
He was so nice, and he told us all about his efforts to learn the hurdy-gurdy. Apparently, Indiana has the biggest. Yes, it is Joshua Smith. Apparently, Indiana has the biggest like hurdy-gurdy convention in North America.
Like meetup or something like that. Yeah,
in
it's
North
something crazy.
America. And
First
so
of all, that's news to me that there's such a thing as a hurdy-gurdy meetup.
I know.
What was fascinating to me was tell me how he gets his lessons.
Yeah, so I asked him how one goes about learning the hurdy-gurdy, and he said he has formal lessons. He Skypes in with a teacher in Spain. And so
Like it'll be like 10 a.m. for him in Indiana and like 4 p.m. in Spain.
for his teacher. So yeah, it was just really, really interesting. He kind of showed us how the hurdy-gurdy worked. We got it on video, and you're just going to get a lot of social media stuff from the next couple days.
Including
So-
that picture of Jeff and I sucking on that turkey leg.
that was a good
sweet-
turkey leg.
Sweet turkey leg.
Sucking on turkey leg outside the Ren Fair.
It was
That's
a
the
pretty
lyrics,
good.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It was a pretty good time, though. We
Yeah.
enjoyed ourselves, even with the burn.
And on top of that, we're going to go a little bit more into what we saw there, which we teased a little bit at the beginning, the joust and the games, that type of stuff.
The tournament games.
The tournament games,
Yeah.
which is always the
'Cause
best arc in an anime. We all know that.
But I mean, when do they ride the giant ostriches and fly around and attack other knights?
Different joust.
How long were you hanging on to that joke?
Since we found out we were going to do that as a subject. Just holding it there, bottling up, waiting for it to
Stay
use
on
it.
target. Stay on target. Ostriches!
For those who don't know, there's a video game called Joust, and you literally just ride ostriches and like flap around the screen and
That's a
attack
fact.
other.
But you are still
people.
like jousting. Like you
You're
got
still
dual
jousting,
lances,
yeah. I don't know
You're
how the
just
hell that concept
On
came
an
out of.
ostrich.
It's historically accurate. Henry VIII invented the video game Joust.
So you were gonna say rode an
So
ostrich.
he wrote. Well, no, he wrote an ostrich, and then when he was teaching the younger squires, they were riding on emus.
Oh, yes.
I hate you guys.
And actually, Henry VIII, in order to, be properly sated in the morning, he would eat an ostrich egg.
just crack it open, and he wouldn't like put it in a bowl. He'd just like slurp straight from the shell.
Gross, guys. Please stop.
I'm imagining him having a diet like Fred Flintstone.
I
Like,
was
he's
literally
in his
thinking the same
carriage.
thing.
He pulls up to that Bronto burger.
That's what I was thinking. Was
the
was
giant rack of ribs.
yeah.
He tilts his carriage over.
You guys.
You know you love that. Anyway, let's get
God.
on topic.
I'm actually curious to hear about how jousts were actually held back then, because what we saw at Darwin Fair, I think they're called the Knights of Valor. They're now the only full body contact jousting troupe.
Just
and
full contact. You don't need to say body. That just sounds like they're throwing themselves off of their
After
horses
they knock
at
the other
each
guy down,
other.
he's got to wrestle him and take his clothes off, and it's a whole thing.
You can find more about it on
Pornhub.
facial
Facial hub.
facial media. The Tudor I hardly know her facial media.
We got to sell that idea to Pornhub. We've got a lot to sell them.
But no, so this group, they've been coming every year to the Indiana one.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point of them is that nothing is choreographed.
Good.
So like every joust is like happening actually in the moment, full head speed. The lances themselves are solid wood. There's nothing been tampered with or balsa wood or
Yeah,
anything like that.
those collisions they had were pretty brutal.
When they break, they shatter. And I mean, previous years we've seen some like pretty intense hits done to some of these
we
guys.
saw one guy like last year, maybe 2 years ago, and he got hit so hard he was like on the ground for a couple seconds
he fell
before
flat on the ground
and did not move. It was scary.
Yeah, it was kind of like a sudden like oh god.
Yeah.
I understand why they only do it twice a day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then so the way it works with the ones we've been seeing at the Ren fairs is they do like kind of like 3 stages of it.
Yep.
There's one where it's like each jouster, there's only like usually 2. They'll go through where they try to put the lance through rings.
Yep.
Each ring's a point, and they just like go down and try to get, and then do that. And then the second round,
Is they stick
Bullseye.
it into a bale of hay with a target on it.
yes,
Yeah.
And then it gets to the full contact.
Full body.
like
contact.
just
That is like the most
Straight.
manly thing that's ever been invented. Like, let's just attack each other with sticks on horses.
Our giant, rigid wooden rods that we jam into each other at full force.
You know how current pickup trucks, a lot of men put like a pair of fake balls on their hauling part. Henry VIII had a pair of fake testicles attached to his lance.
I think I say on his horse. So he just had extra testicles on his horse.
No, he wanted it on the lance. He invented the fake testicles, and
And,
archaeologists found
and
it.
a sticker of him dressed as Calvin pissing on France. Can somebody please draw
Accurate.
that for us? As much as I hate that
I hate
sticker,
it, but
I want to see Henry dressed as Calvin pissing on France.
no. So yeah, Jeff, that was a really good recap of what
we
the
watched.
joust was that we saw. So now I can go into what it was actually like, and it is surprisingly accurate. Although there is one thing that they did in the joust that was not accurate historically. So, these tournaments, they were all military games. They were meant to kind of show their prowess, their skill, their courage. And it was a big deal for a knight to fight in one. So they were kind of popular between the 13th and the 16th centuries. Although by the end of the 16th century, the end of the 1500s, they were really more about pageantry than
it's all showmanship.
it really was. So there were a few elements to these tournaments. There's the joust that we know about, the one that Jeff was giving an overview of. And then there was also a melee. So
That's something I've always wanted to see is like a melee recreation.
I mean, that one's probably really hard to do.
yeah,
An
that would
accurate
be,
portrayal.
that would be
I've
difficult.
seen videos floating around where it's like, hey, here's full body contact, just melee.
Because
nice.
the internet videos would totally not lie about any
Right.
choreography.
I've seen some of them where it looks 100% real,
Well, that's-
where it's just dudes wanging each other with
Oh, I'm sure.
swords. Not, sharp
That's called
swords.
Pornhub.
We're never going to get past it.
The joust was a trial of skill in which 2 horsemen charged at each other with lances. So the knights who attended it, they were like, not only do I get to show off, but I get to get some lady affection. And they would hope to receive the ladies' favors. We'll go in more to that later.
That was one of the things also they do at the Ren Fair. They would have like it'd be more for like comical a lot of times purposes. They have the writers give a rose to
A lady.
in the audience.
Yeah, and
Usually with us is like some cute little girl,
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't you say your sister got it one year?
No, this was her second year attending.
Yeah, no, my sister didn't.
No.
She wouldn't draw attention to herself.
Yeah, no, she hates it. So then there was the melee. So, wait. What the fuck is this word? Oh, it's a melee. So then there was the melee, and the melee had really strict rules. So the swords could not have points. They if your sword had a point,
So they're like
blunted.
Rounded.
blunted.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Like a Lego sword.
You weren't allowed to have literally they were just like ting ting ting.
Yeah.
I was actually more visualizing like a sword just made of Legos. So the moment they hit each other, it just shatters.
Oh, that would look so fucking cool.
Oh god.
So no daggers, clubs, or maces could be used. If a knight fell from his horse, he could only be helped up by their own squire wearing their symbol, their badges. And if a squire broke that rule, then not only did the squire lose their horse and their arms, but they were also imprisoned for 3 years. So
Holy shit.
let's get gaming.
Damn, why don't our sports be that strict?
I don't know.
I think he's dead. I think I should go help him. Stay. Stay.
So some melees were peaceful and they had like parchment swords and fake shields. There. Got it. And others were deadly, but the whole point was to capture members of the opposing team. So it was basically like capture the flag or flag football or something.
Capture Jeff.
So,
The greased up Jeff.
so they had when they were doing the joust,
I imagine it'd be like capture the maiden. And it's just like some bearded guy dressed up as a maiden running around saying, "Yo, you'll never catch me, boys.
Oh, yoo-hoo.
I'm over here."
So during the joust, the lances themselves were blunted, and eventually they put these pieces, these like metal pieces on the end of the wooden part. So instead of a point, it was kind of like a blunt fist looking thing, and it had like 4 like I don't know,
Like
metal fingers on it that were meant to really help avert the impact from
Yeah.
being more painful, because it's
Really?
yeah, because if you think 1 point versus 4.
So it kind of was like
Kinda pushing it away from.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, wow.
I found a picture of one, so I'll share that on Facebook. But
because I would have thought they would just like just make it like almost like a ball point where it's just a kind of a ball on the end. I feel like that would like brush way more off.
maybe.
But I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen
share it.
pictures of
When
it.
you say ballpoint, I've just got the idea in my head of them like looking like pens, and then you have nice like G2 pens where it's got the really nice point to it that everyone fights in the office over the nice G2 pens. You know what I'm fucking talking about?
We're all adults now. This is sad.
Yeah.
So armor was developed specifically for jousting. It was heavier and less flexible than the armor you'd wear if you were fighting battle. But that's because it had to take.
Really, you're just trying to be a tank on top of a horse.
How much weight went behind the impact of the jousting yesterday?
He said
Didn't
somewhere
like 1,500.
No, somewhere like 500 pounds of pressure. Like
No, I thought it was like
Unconscious.
I thought
1,500.
I remember like Sim like 1,500 something.
Yeah,
Maybe.
because there's the weight of the horse plus the weight of the man plus
Oh,
his armor.
that one, yeah. Then you start. I think
Yeah.
that's when he started. I think it's he started saying like he started adding all these other stuff.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And the speed they're going because they're both going like 25, 30 miles an hour towards
Mm-hmm.
each other, and then on top of that, then it's like you're taking on like 55.
I don't think they're going 25, 30 miles an hour.
Here's the thing. Just imagine a horse trotting at you and a guy holding
Literally
literally anything. If it hits you, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
So, only those of noble birth were allowed to take part in tournaments, and in Germany, they actually had to prove their quote purity of descent.
That I found fascinating.
The
That
purity of descent, I think, was a
Well,
little bit more interesting than
like,
just being like noble birth.
You have to be someone of nobility to be able to even compete in this dangerous game.
Poor people not allowed.
Because
I figured they would want the poor people, but
Yeah.
they're expendable.
No, because
Because
it's not about killing people. It's about proving that you are knightly.
see, I'm thinking
and
like
courageous.
see,
and
I'm thinking
poor
like
people aren't
Gladiator.
courageous
Yeah, I
or
think of
knightly.
like gladiators, where it's like let's
oh,
just get slaves.
throw the
and poor
slaves in
people.
there and let them fight to the death.
No,
And it's all
not
fun
like
for
that.
us.
No, because they want to take part in the tournaments.
less
Like
of a
Henry
blood
VIII was
sport,
pissed
more
when he
just an
couldn't
honor
take part in
thing.
them.
It's a bragging right.
Honor,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It allowed the knights to display their martial prowess and their noble manners. If you were of noble birth and you had a criminal background of any sort, you weren't allowed to compete. Like it was really about showing off your knightly valor. Sometimes the knights would dress up as like King Arthur, famous knights like
They cosplay for their jousting.
They would actually they would sometimes dress up as monks, even ladies of the court. So can you imagine somebody like dressing up as like Catherine of Aragon getting on a horse?
A grown man, like this grown man in armor with a dress over it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought they were taking this seriously.
No,
but-
they don't. Occasionally, if there was a break during a real war, the opposing sides would have a joust just to kill time. Right? It kind of, you know what that reminded me of? I don't know. You guys probably know about it, but in World War One, the first Christmas, 1914, the opposing armies both like took a break and started singing Christmas carols, and they played a game of soccer in no man's land. So I think it's just another.
It's got to be very hard to go back to killing each other after that.
That's why. Side note on World War One, that's why like Churchill and basically all the leaders told their generals that they were not to allow anything like that to happen again. Like they didn't.
Hey, can I say something a little controversial here?
Yeah.
War sucks.
It does. Yeah. So this is the thing about the joust that we saw that was not quite accurate, because they were talking about how it was solid wood. Actually, lances in the medieval times were hollow so that they would break easier.
I mean, I could see
It's
that
a safety thing.
Safety thing, because these are your rich people.
It's royalty.
And I figured it'd probably make for a grandier show if you see like these things
Splintering.
shatter.
Yeah, probably.
So it's safer to have it not hollow?
It's safer to have it hollow.
Because they'll break a lot
Because if
easier.
it hits you, it's going to break.
Well, I
Whereas
figured
if
the
you get hit with
splinters
solid,
might be a little...
well, Henry II learned about that, but no, the splinters hurt, but
Well,
you're more likely to
wearing
get
armor,
die.
Yeah.
You're more likely to get
Splinters
knocked off your
are
horse.
going to impale you then.
Yeah.
So, now occasionally people did hold grudge matches in jousting in order to injure or kill their opponent.
Would you get in
Wasn't as
trouble
common.
if you killed your opponent?
No,
No.
it
I mean,
happened.
it's the risk of the
It is.
game.
Yeah,
Whoops,
it's
looked
supposed to
like
show
he
your
got
courage.
stabbed in the head.
They wouldn't talk like that. That's how the poor people talk.
Oi, looks like he got stabbed in the head, he did.
Oh dear,
No,
I see
please
if you got
stop.
stabbed
Okay,
in the head.
I hate you both. Anyway, to practice
Oh
for
dear, it seems I stabbed my opponent in the head.
that is what it is.
Thank you.
Hugh Grant is a jouster. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Just in the head.
So-
Are you all right?
In order to practice for the joust, what they had was something called a quintain. So picture a giant arm on like a pole. On a pole. And on one side of the arm would be a shield, and on the other side of the arm would be a weight. And so they would run out the shield, and they'd have to run past it before the weight swung around and hit them on the back and knocked them off the horse.
I think I've seen that before.
You probably have.
Knight's Tale.
I've never seen a Knight's Tale.
You should watch it. It's good.
Now I'm actually kind of curious how accurate Knight's Tale was with jousting.
Let's watch it.
I'm actually curious about watching
So,
it.
they would also do the ring that you were talking about. They would
The
have
ring games.
They would have a ring suspended, and they would have to catch and remove that suspended ring with their lance. And if you think about it, these rings, like, they did not look very big. Like, maybe the size of your head at most, but even that seems like it's larger than what they actually were.
Yeah, I think they were, because like you said, they had people holding them up to catch
Yep.
them. So they
Those
actually
poor
they actually
bastards.
did some things differently this year. Because
Tell me.
so what they used to do, I think in previous years, is the rings were part of the spear game. So they would catch the rings
And then they had to turn around
toss it, and then toss it into
Yeah,
straight
I
to
remember
bed.
that.
So that was one part, and then the other section was they would literally put a thing of fruit on the top of a head of like a
about that.
statue or a staff or something like that. So
Carmen Miranda.
and the whole point was they would take a sword and they would try to get as close as they can
I
to
totally
the
forgot
base
about that.
of cutting the fruit. So like they'd be like a watermelon, and they had to cut as low down as they can on
Yeah.
it.
I'm sad I missed that. That sounds cool as hell.
I think we might have video of
I
it.
just
from
now
years
remembered
past.
that. Yeah.
me too.
I didn't realize Gallagher was around back then.
Well, so like what we were seeing today, the
Yesterday.
gentleman who like hosted everything, he was saying that the horses they use for the games are like retired. I can't remember what they are, like either battle horses, like something like that. Like
I feel like he was saying they were war
like
horses.
they're rescue horses.
They are,
they're
yeah.
rescued from being like slaughtered and used for meat.
Mm-hmm.
And the one horse
The one Sir Lawrence was on.
Yeah, the one we were
was like a
cheering
brand
for.
new. To
Yeah,
the...
it was like he was brand, so he could tell it's a very timid horse. They probably do
Well,
some.
no, he wasn't timid. He was excited.
Yeah, like
he couldn't like sit still long enough for him to get the lance.
He struggled to give him like the night
The
anything because
yeah.
he couldn't sit still.
It was still pretty cool. Though.
So I'm curious if stuff like that might take an effect. I don't know, or
I can imagine.
or maybe the games might have been different if we saw it at a different time.
We'll have to go again today.
I mean, there'll probably be a 4 o'clock showing.
Yep. All right. We'll finish up and then go see another joust. So if someone was unhorsed during a joust, their opponent could actually get off their own horse and they would have a sword fight.
I think you just like gets up and starts beating the shit out of him, just like starts kicking him on the ground.
But they would engage in hand-to-hand combat. So they would use a
fisticuffs.
They would use a two-handed sword, but they could also use a mace for that.
Now, did they have like a point system back then too? Okay.
They did actually. So it was originally all about knocking each other off their horses, but they ended up developing a complicated point system, and that involved unseating somebody from their horse, striking the opponent where you struck them, how hard you struck them.
Like a lance break.
Breaking lances. So it was similar to the point system that we saw, probably a little bit more complicated for that time though. So as jousting developed, they started adding more metal to the armor to protect the chest, the neck, the side of the head.
I think I got a video of them yesterday.
Strapping
They
in the
were
armor?
prepping him for the actual joust. Like it was like literal like nuts and bolts they were screwing off his chest and adding like extra plates and everything like around his head and neck.
Now the helmets themselves, they were decorative. And so I remembered this picture, and you've probably seen it before, but I wanted to show it to you again. So the helmets ended up being a little bit more decorative. Occasionally they would add plumes to them and horns occasionally.
Sir Lawrence had a cool plume on his. Sir Lawrence was our knight.
But nobody had a cooler helmet than Henry VIII.
Oh my God. I forgot about the nightmare terror.
Can you imagine that riding at you?
Sweetie swag, nightmare stag.
Oh my God.
That's horrifying, isn't it? My favorite part is the glasses on it. So this is Henry VIII's jousting helmet, and it was given to him as a gift. But it's got these big swirly horns on it, and some. I think the teeth might be the most terrifying part.
I just visualized him taking that like into the bedroom.
Stop. I'm gonna scare a child out into you. So the horses themselves also had some basic protection on their chest, on their eyes, things like that. So the horses weren't forgotten. They were very prized animals, especially a well-trained horse.
Well, yeah, I'm sure back then because they have to be great at be able to keep steady and accurate and everything for the knight to be able to keep focus. That's the thing. I'm still always kind of surprised, like when I'm watching these games or when we were watching, like these guys are on like real horses.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's amazing to think about how steady the horses have to be.
Yes.
So occasionally people were killed during practice sessions. The Earl of Pembroke in I think the 1390 or so, he was practicing. And he died from an injury to the groin. And I don't even want to know what that... Yeah. That's why I made that face earlier where you guys were like, what? So once you won a joust, you were given prizes. Sometimes you would be given like something simple like a gold ring or jewelry or a gold chain. You could also get a fine sword or helmet, and occasionally like a big yield swag bag. Occasionally you would be gifted a horse or a falcon or something like that. So that was probably the bigger tournaments.
So I feel like we talked about this before. Sorry, I've been looking this up. There's that helmet reminded me of something from a video game where it 100% has to be related. So the video game I'm talking about is a game called Dark Souls. And it's a medieval fantasy type game, but there's a character with a helmet that looks like this.
Oh shit, yeah.
That is, it has to be 100%.
Well, but it's probably inspired by the decorative helmets. Yeah.
Like the horns and the way the glasses are.
Especially if it was worn by someone so well known.
Yeah.
I love it.
Other prizes, occasionally they would get a lady's kiss, or they'd receive her favor. And it's funny because the websites I was looking at to research
Wink,
this,
wink.
they were like, she'll give her they'll give the knight a veil or a scarf, or some site was like a garter. So basically, like the underwear of the medieval times.
I was just thinking like Always Sunny, the dentist method.
Stop.
Yeah, I know. Those who know will know.
I'm
Don't.
imagining him like a knight, like trying to take her garter off with his lance.
I'm gonna seduce you,
Getting a
baby.
little pokey.
So jousting was pretty popular in tournaments in general, were popular between the 13th and 16th century. But then when Henry II was killed by, eyeball lance, it started to decline in popularity. So eventually it stopped being a form of entertainment. And there were occasional resurgences of it, but it was never anything that lasted a long time. And
Henry wasn't jousting when he had his injury, was he?
Henry VIII?
Yeah.
He was.
He was
in a tournament.
So the leg wound
The
happened. during
1536 one, he was knocked off his horse.
that. Okay.
Yep, while jousting. So the leg wound actually happened in the I want to say like 1526 or 27. He was jousting and he received a wound to his leg. And then when he fell again in 1536, it caused that wound to like reopen and not be able to close. And he was knocked unconscious. So jousting was dangerous. And if what we saw yesterday was any indication of what it was really like, I can totally see how. I can also weirdly understand why people are really
a
into
guy
it.
fell when we saw him.
Yeah, Sir Lawrence got rocked.
So it was good though. We liked it. So that is what jousting and tournament games looked like in the medieval times.
Yeah. Next
kinda
episode will be on medieval times.
We're going there.
The
I'd
actual
love
place.
to.
I want to go.
No, that's actually kind of surprising how actually pretty accurate what we saw was to the original style.
Yeah. So thanks for the episode suggestion, Garrett. That was awesome.
Yeah. No, it's good talk.
I liked it. So I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah. Feels like that was a short one.
It was, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's jousting. He said that they do have like point systems. I'm kind of curious how because honestly the sword fighting wasn't meant to kill if it's blunted swords anyways. Was it probably more like where you hit them or
I don't
like
know if there was a point
contact
system
thing?
for the melee point.
Okay.
No. The melee things was all about capturing as many people from the other side. Remember? Capture the flag.
Okay, so you're using the sword.
So
Now-
Or you're sword fighting?
there's the melee portion,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when they had swords and they could use like they weren't allowed to have any other things like the maces or the axes or anything, and they just had two opposing fake armies, and they would have to capture as many of the other side as possible. And
Okay.
I don't know what that looked like. I don't know if it was like you poke them with a sword and they're caught. I don't know if it was like tag.
It was sword tag.
Yeah.
Tink, you're it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like that or but they didn't have like points for that. They just had points for the jousting. So,
Now, with the Renaissance Fair that we were at, was that supposed to like emulate a certain type of like festival or celebration that they would have, or is
Nah.
it just like just general like medieval stuff?
And
just
it's
general medieval
always
stuff.
is the Tudor era.
It is. Queen Elizabeth is there.
Yeah.
And you can see everybody's wearing the Tudor badge.
Now, did they have like fairs or festivals or
Yeah, like,
or
like county
celebrations
fairs and
like that?
festivals and stuff like
Okay.
that.
That'd
And
be fun to hear about.
Or you think Henry VIII had all his turkey legs?
Yes, that was a good turkey leg. Because when it comes to celebrations like that, the only thing I have a reference for is the Field of Cloth and Gold.
yeah, but they also had celebrations that like the peasants could go to. Like they had May Day celebrations and like the church festivals.
Have we
things
talked
like
about
that.
those yet?
I don't think so.
We should.
We should. I agree.
Mm.
So,
With all their rigged carnival games. Throw the ball into the fish bowl. Win a goldfish.
For dinner.
Or pet. We really don't care. All right, so that's
do what you will.
So that's it.
That is it.
All right. Do you think that when a fish died back then, they threw it in the chamber pot?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Flush the chamber pot. So find us on Facebook.
Facebook,
And Twitter?
Tudor Hardly Know Her. Twitter, @Tudor Know Her. You can find us by emailing us if you have a question, you want to talk to us, correspond with us. Again, we may not always get to your question right away, but don't panic. We hear you.
Yeah, we do.
tudorknowher@gmail.com. You can also support us on our Patreon, Tudor I Hardly Know Her. I think it's Tudor I Hardly Know, or patreon.com/Tudor I Hardly Know Her. Also, give us reviews on iTunes. That really helps, and it boosts our egos.
Although I haven't really read them lately.
Yeah, they've been pretty good. And tell your friends to give us a listen. Or
Yep. So, until next time.
Until next time.
Divorce, beheaded, died.
Divorce, beheaded, survived.
Goodbye.
Bye. Hello. This is Garrett here for Tudor I Hardly Know Her, and here is the thing at the beginning of the show where I read off all the names of the Patreons, Patreon peoples. Fuck, I'm doing this over. God damn it.
Don't cut any of this.
Shut up. Hello, this is Garrett here from Tudor I Hardly Know Her. Fuck, God damn it.
I don't know who I am anymore.
Try to cut a fucking spot, Tony.